Has your heart ever run ahead of your better judgment and you stayed on that runaway train anyway? This is the chapter where I kept reaching for the brakes, but then chose to stay seated because where Sam was, my heart wanted to be. And everything picked up speed the weekend that Sam came back. Before we get into this next chapter, I need to share this crucial theme to my life. I am very blessed to serve a God who stayed right beside me through all of this, waiting for the moment that I finally call on him, knowing this was a ride that would in time bring me to my knees before him. And with every tumultuous turn, he was ready to win a little bit more of my heart. So it's been a long time since this love story took place, and some memories blur with age. But what I do remember with absolute clarity, we planned to meet at Disney again. He was going to stay the weekend, just an hour from me with family. And even though we talked through the week, the anticipation of seeing him again was exhilarating. I had resisted falling for him for as long as I could, but now I had fallen, and I just wanted to see him again. Looking back on this particular chapter, I can see how gently God still watches over us, even when we're reckless. As I tell you this story, you will see exactly what I mean. So once again, I drove to downtown Disney, my heart picking up speed as I got closer. And this time, I arrived before him and ducked into a little coffee shop to buy us coffees. So he'd had a full week of work and then a long drive, and I knew he'd be exhausted. Funny enough, later Sam told me that that moment became a core memory for him, watching me walk toward him, coffee in hand, confident and familiar, as if we'd done this dozens of times before. Anyway, that evening was about to unfold into something that neither of us understood yet. So we walked through the promenade, just enjoying the feeling of each other's nearness and talking. We were good at talking about anything and nothing, and we were good at staring into each other's eyes too. I distinctly remember the feeling of pushing all uncertainty aside just so I could enjoy being in the moment with him. The lights, the music, it swept me into a fairy tale. I just loved the glow of happiness on his face when he looked at me, and knowing his history and background a little bit, I also loved knowing that he felt safe with me. If I could go back to that moment in time, give my 19-year-old self some advice, I think I would just hug her and tell her that God is faithful in all things. I'm about to share something really exposing, so bear with me. As that desert night grew cold, as it always does, neither of us wanted to separate. I knew I needed to be careful and protect my virtue. But feeling how much we wanted to extend the time together, seeing how tired he was, actually being worried for him to be on the road that way, I made another reckless choice. I invited him back to my apartment so that he didn't have to drive that extra hour back to San Diego. But only if he agreed to sleep on the couch. The caveat, as long as he respected the boundaries we were not going to cross. And he did understand. In fact, this is a memory that I will always cherish about Sam. He did value and want to protect my innocence, and I could feel that. So before you come at me with how dangerous that move was, and I know it was, I did feel safe with him. Tempted as he could have been to seduce me completely, he did not. However, for my own actions as a believer in that moment, I have no such respect. I'm speaking to the young adults here. I chose to expose my misstep here because the message matters more than my discomfort. Even though Sam did protect me and I remained a virgin that night, inviting him to stay in my apartment was very unwise. And beyond that, it wasn't a good testimony to Sam of how a Christian woman is called to conduct herself. And it showed no humility before God. And it certainly wasn't a moment of surrender to the Holy Spirit's warning in my heart. Scripture is clear about not only avoiding fornication, but even the appearance of it. In choosing my own way, I was acting independently of God, and independence, even in small decisions, is a form of rebellion He later has to purify us of. Okay, with that out of the way, let's get back to the story. So as we drove to my apartment, we were talking happily, and suddenly he went quiet. For a moment, I wondered if I had said something wrong, but he reassured me that he was just tired. And yes, he was exhausted, but there was something else. I could feel it, a weight he was carrying, something he wanted to tell me, but couldn't bring himself to say. I will never forget that moment and how I felt it physically. But because we were so close to my apartment, we arrived before he found the courage to say whatever it might be, and I felt him push whatever it was deep down, just so that he could be present with me again. Well, I've always felt that the Lord gave me a gift, but what I sensed in that moment went deeper than personality or psychological wiring. I do know that when we belong to God, He gives us a kind of spiritual discernment, a quiet intuition that comes from Him. And like any gift of grace, it grows when we stay prayerfully attentive, and it fades when we ignore it. You know, in that moment, I didn't want to look too closely at what I was sensing. I wasn't ready. But I believe God understood my weakness. He didn't push. He just stayed close, patient and gentle, waiting for me to be ready to turn to Him and ask Him. So we walked into my apartment. I settled into His arms just so we could absorb a few more moments before I left Him to go to my room, and we shut the world out. I remember feeling like I was living in a dream. I remember Him waking me with a kiss in the morning, offering to make me breakfast with my limited supply of groceries in the fridge. We also started trying to talk about the future, whether I would stay in California or go home. He was supportive, again, telling me I needed to be wherever I felt less stress. And honestly, with what I was feeling for Sam and the intensely fast rate at which it was growing inside both my head and my heart at that moment, it was starting to feel like it might be time to return home. He promised to come visit me in Canada if I did choose to go, and that comforted me immensely. We also touched on what might happen if he were to tell his parents about me. That one was going to be a challenge. So I don't remember everything we did the rest of the weekend. I just remember loving the feeling of shutting the world out, of finally being together after all the months of anticipation, and just making the most out of that. Reality didn't matter, and the only thing that was important was how we felt about each other. And when it was time for him to leave, I remember wishing he didn't have to go, at the same time as feeling the need to be alone to process everything we had just walked through. And because I've always been highly sensitive to the undercurrents in people, I could feel how much I was beginning to mean to him. And yet, he was processing so much, more than he could verbalize. His feelings were clear, but something inside him was conflicted. And on my side, I also anticipated my parents' reaction to this unfolding love story. So when Sam left, I knew it was time to tell my parents. I clearly remember the nerves that gripped me as I picked up my phone. But my mother, as ever, quieted my conflict with her steady, loving spirit. Talking to her about it felt like coming up for air. I told her I'd fallen in love and that I needed to come home to stay protected, prayed over, and grounded. Needless to say, she was comforted by my willingness to stay cautious and self-aware. I did not yet have the courage to tell my dad, but I knew my mother would take care of that, as she always did. Everything moved really quickly after that. My mother booked a ticket for the very next weekend so that we could vacate the apartment before the next month's rent came due. I did feel relief and even excitement at the thought of going home. I loved my independence, but I also sensed that I had entered into a vulnerable, pivotal chapter in my life where I was going to need the closeness and covering of my family. So after the call with my mother, I immediately called Sam, and he was very understanding and supportive of my decision. He did say he didn't really want me to go, but he encouraged me to do it anyways because he felt that it was the best thing for me, and he would visit. His care in that time and his support in that way just heightened my admiration for him. So when my mother arrived, we packed up my apartment together, and as we did so, I shared more of what was happening in my heart. She listened without judgment, as always. She told me it was a little soon, and she wouldn't presume to tell me that she was happy, but that if I was happy, she looked forward to meeting Sam. She told me she would keep praying for my heart and God's leading. And I just have to say, a mother who loves like that earns the right to be confided in. And I thank God my mother was also talented. She managed to pack that entire apartment into my Chevrolet Malibu with room left for us in the front seat. It was a bittersweet departure. I had loved my time in California and that apartment, but spiritually, I knew something transformative was coming, and California was no longer the stage for it. Well, we grabbed a bite to eat and hit the road. So it was already evening, and we knew we'd need to find a hotel by midnight. We were excited for this little adventure, just my mom and me, on the open road, music up, talking endlessly. But then, an unexpected call came in. I'm pretty sure it was just as we merged onto the freeway. So it was Sam, and he had an urgent request. He wanted to meet us at one of the exits along our route north, just to see me one more time. And, if I agreed, also introduce himself to my mother. So there was a Denny's right off that exit, and the introduction couldn't have gone better, but I wouldn't have expected any less from my mother. And of course, she even gave us a little alone time afterwards to say our goodbyes. Outside the Denny's, I looked up at him, unsure, and he did kiss me, full of feeling and something else. He held me with this almost desperate desire to not let go, to make the moment last. And then he walked me to my car. My mother hugged him goodbye, telling him she liked him. That was my mother, always making people feel seen and even loved, even if they were perfect strangers. Sam squeezed my hand one last time, and as we drove away, emotions overwhelmed me. I felt like I was leaving a part of my heart behind. I did not know what was coming. Deep down, with a heaviness I had never felt before, my heart knew it was going to be a lot. Sometimes God allows a love that breaks you, only because He plans to use that breaking to then rebuild you stronger in Him. And this was the beginning of that breaking, and it would end up with rebuilding. Stay with me on this emotional journey, because I promise you, a testimony only God can write is going to come out of it. And as we go forward in this story, difficult to tell as it will be sometimes, you will get to bear witness to God's transformative work in me, to take me from a place of my own headstrong will to His way, His will, and His timing.